point in time. Okay, so it can change at different times, no? Basta basically yung MSE, pag nabasa mo yung MSE ng isang pasyente, mapipicture out mo yung patient. Okay? Yun yung gusto kong makita sa mga MSEs ninyo sa mga requirements. Dapat pag nababasa yung MSE, nakaka-build ka ng image ng of the service user or of the person, of the patient. Okay? So, ito yung kailangang itanong. Titingnan natin later, may parts of the MSE na we observe, some we need to elicit from the person, etc. Ay, meron bang hindi nakakaintindi ng Tagalog? Or okay naman? Sige. Mag-English na lang ba ako? Patay. O, sige. For our psychiatric interview, there are 3 parts: the opening, middle, and closing phase. So for the opening phase, this is where we introduce ourselves and where we introduce the interview process. So even before starting the interview itself, dapat ang interview area natin okay, no? So we look at the interview space. Ideally, basta remember lang natin, psychiatric interview, ideally, safety first. So safety of your safety and the safety of the patient. So ang ideal natin actually na interview space, dapat clear yung exit ninyo, walang block sa exit ninyo. Kung makikita ninyo sa OPS, di ba technically parang cubicle siya. So actually hindi ideal, no, yung interview space natin. Pero sa mga mag-rotate sa ER, ay sino pala mag-rotate sa ER? Ano ba sa inyo? Ayun, si Sean Joseph. O sige. Sa ER, makikita ninyo yung interview room na per patient, no, meron siyang parang revolving door sa likod. Kasi dapat may clear, ideally, may clear exit kayo. Tapos, yung usual na distance from the patient. Seating arrangement, ideally, we minimize yung decors and distance to focus sa interview. And then, ito may oras. Based on Kaplan kasi ideally, for the first patient, first interview, first consult, OPS patient to outpatient, ideally, gaano katagal? Anyone have an idea? Pero 45 to 90 minutes. Okay? Base sa libro. Kapag yung pasyente mo non-psychotic, outpatient, ganyan. Sabi naman ni Kaplan, kapag very psychotic ang patient, emergency, ang presentation, usually 20 minutes will do. Pero makikita ninyo, sino naman yung mga mag-rotate sa outpatient? Ayun, marami sila. Ayun, makikita ninyo sa OPS, pag first consult, no, minsan maximum 15 minutes. Kasi ang dami nating service user, ang daming pasyente. But important na yung ideal. Okay, ito yung ideal. Tapos sometimes we do what we can with the resources that we have. Pero yung ideal kasi kahit na wala tayong time, lipit tayo sa time, mag-go over natin yung processes ng interview. Okay, in initiating the interview, of course, you introduce yourself. You state the goals of the interview and you give the time frame. So, pwedeng, ako po si Doktora ganito, for this interview po, pag-usapan natin ng iyong concern. Ito ay magiging first interview mo. Maglalast ito ng mga 10 to 15 minutes. Ganon. Important in the first phase is rapport. Okay, how to build rapport? Of course, we try to ensure safety and comfort of the patient. So, may picture, so pwedeng tanungin, no, nilalamig ka ba? Gusto mo ba ng tubig? Or prepared tayo if, for example, may umiyak or if may mag-outburst, etc. Dito rin, where we ask for consent and where we set the boundaries, no? So, if you see sa outpatient and in the ER, meron tayong informed consent, tunayan pahintulot na nag-check up at pumayag sa gamutan. No? So, review yung ICT. Ideally, dapat yung ICT, yung informed consent to treatment form. Ideally, ina-explain yan ng resident, no? Sa patients and sa bantay. Okay, privacy and confidentiality, important for our patients. We set yung confidentiality clause always, no? To build rapport, we state for this interview, everything is confidential, sa atin-atin lamang, walang lalabas sa room, okay? Or sometimes, you'll notice sa outpatient, kasi nga very pressed tayo for time, ideally kasi kung may bantay, and then may service user, ideally bantay muna, tapos pasyente, tapos both, no? Although sometimes sabay na sila. Pero if you sense, no, na may mga pasyente na gusto talagang kausapin sila mag-isa, we can offer always, no? Okay lang ba sa'yo na sabay ko na kayong interviewin or mas prefer mo ba na nasa labas muna yung kasama? Pwede naman yun. And then, of course, ang boundaries ng confidentiality. Can anyone, ano ang breaks ng confidentiality? Kailan tayo magbe-break ng confidentiality clause sa mga service users? You can type, you can raise your hand. Kailan lalabas, no, ang mga pinag-uusapan yung dalawa? Ano ang tawag dito? Ano ang circumstances wherein we can break yung confidentiality? Dalawa lang sagot. O sige, kapag may harm to self or harm to others. So we explain that in our confidentiality clause. Lahat ng pag-uusapan natin ay is confidential. However, if something will come up during our interview which might convey, no, that there is a possible harm to yourself or to other people, then we can break the confidentiality clause. Okay, so sa Tagalog, kung sa interview natin, merong mapag-usapan, no, na posibleng maging makasakit sa'yo or sa ibang tao, then yun, maaaring sabihin natin sa iyong guardian or sa iyong kapamilya. Okay, always remember. And then next, always respond with empathy. Then here, this is a slide showing ang mga interview techniques natin. So we have facilitating, expanding, and obstructive techniques. So these techniques are what we use. Number one, yung facilitating techniques, we use them to facilitate the interview and promote a positive relationship with the patient. So ano-ano ito? Actually, you'll find out na you use naman these techniques during in the way you talk to others or the way you talk to your patients, no? But it's important na you identify the particular techniques, no? Kasi you'll find na maybe you have difficulty with this part, or ito yung strength mo, ito yung parang nahihirapan ka, etc. So reinforcement, this is how we show or we strengthen or stimulate interest with the patient. So encouragement, causing a hopeful feeling. Next, reflection, thinking quietly and calmly. So ito more on, we try to reflect to the patient whatever he or she has said. So para as that conveys, no, na naririnig natin sila, and then we've heard kung anong gusto nilang sabihin na nare-reflect back sa kanila. Okay? Reassurance, we can do this also. Remember, for most of our service users, it has taken them a long time before seeking consult. Okay? Patagal yan, pinag-isipan yan, no? Dami yung agam-agam. So, we need to reassure na na maganda, no, na napakonsulta, etc. Reassurance is a technique that makes someone less afraid, upset, or doubtful. So, important lang ito kasi ayun nga, kadalasan yan, ayaw talaga yan magpa-check up. Only na sobrang lala na, kaya nag-push na nagpa-check up. And then humor, we can use humor, no? Pero usually better kung if the service user initiate first and then you respond. Kasi we need to parang check the atmosphere, parang ganon. And of course, silence. Silence is a facilitating technique. So there will be times no na you would not know actually what to say or what to do. So active listening or silence can be helpful. Tapos silence, of course, to give them sometimes to give them time to compose, etc. Other techniques. Next, we have the expanding techniques. These techniques help in elaborating the concern, a particular concern, and talk about other issues. So usually we use the expanding techniques once we have built, kumbaga somehow a rapport with the patient. Kung mas deep, mas medyo may connection na kayo, no? So, and if you want to tackle a particular area, so we have clarifying techniques. If he or she has said something na you want to clarify kung ano talaga ang tinutukoy, we can do that. No, okay, sige, balikan lang natin. Sabi mo na gusto mo magpakamatay para matigil na lahat. O anong ibig sabihin mo doon? Okay, so associations, leading. So leading, ayaw natin ng mga leading questions, but more on providing direction or guidance, especially kung the times na medyo nagra-ramble, na. So we can guide the patient. Of course, probing. This is why na expanding techniques usually used kung mas deeper na yung relationship nyo ng patient. Kasi kung hindi pa masyado, then mahirap mag-probe, mag-redirect. Pero kung medyo may build na kayo ng rapport, edi mas okay na mag-probe. Kasi usually for sometimes in the interview, you'll notice na there are areas na they just brush aside or don't want to talk about. Pero yun yung parang problem areas that we try to probe. And then redirecting, of course, at the end of the day, we need to get a diagnosis, we need to finish the interview, we need to get the symptoms. So it's important then na we redirect the patients. And then transitions. Sometimes as we go over the HPI and our other parts of medical history, we need to be good at transitioning, no? Lalo na kung sige, nag-uusap tayo ngayon from suicidality, tapos sige, next time ngayon mag-usap tayo about the work, ganoon. So we try to introduce the next topic by good okay transitions. Hindi yung parang ano tawag dito? Sige, gusto mo magpakamatay, ganoon. Tapos yung next ay diretso ka agad mag-jump sa work or kung ano man. Next, kung meron tayong positive techniques, we have also yung mga obstructive interview techniques. So actually, they can be useful in some parts, no, but they may impede the interview process if not properly informed. So what are some obstructive techniques? So you need to be aware of these, no, kasi maybe you are using them in your interview or in the way you talk with others, with your colleagues, etc. So compound questions, dalawang question, no? Hindi po nasagot yung isa, may isa ka ng tanong. So, ano muna, mahihirapan yung pasyente kapag ganyan. Next, yung why questions. Mahirap sagutin ang bakit. Bakit ka malungkot? Bakit gusto mo magpakamatay? So, most of the time nga, they go to us kasi they don't know why. No? So, sometimes hindi masyadong helpful yung mga why questions. So more on mag-ask tayo ng mga answerable. Sige, anong dahilan, anong nangyari, anong naramdaman mo, etc. Instead of, bakit ganyan, bakit ganyan. Next, judgmental statements. Example, marami, alam niyo naman yung mga judgmental statement, pero kahit judgment ninyo or kahit gusto naman yung advice ninyo might be helpful in the course of our interview, ganyan, they won't really be helpful, no? They might parang stop your patient from sharing more, or for example, may patient na nag-share na na-diagnose with HIV, yun, may sometimes may mga ibang judgmental, ay bakit ka naman nagkaganyan? Ano bang mga ginagawa mo na nagkakaganyan? Well, of course, mag-ano na yun, no? Medyo hindi ka na makaka-approve right after that. Or parang, anong tawag dito? Actually, yung isang very common na judgmental na ako ay so, no? Yung minsan, ngayon, check up. Tagal na pala niya, ano ginawa mo, di ka naman kaya ganun. So, ayun, for the first interview, first parts, try to avoid, no? Yung mga ganito. Di pala try, avoid, okay? And of course, minimizing patients' concern. This might lead them to not share concerns at all or to shy away from talking about the difficult topics kasi they know na you will minimize or you will invalidate them. And we don't want that kasi sa psych naman, what we want is to tackle, no, mga mahihirap na pag-usapan. Yun yung gusto natin. And of course, premature interpretation. Yung premature interpretation in the sense na we assign the meaning na kaagad to what the patient feels or to the events of the patient's life. Well, sometimes your interpretation may be correct. Sometimes your advice may be correct. But in the interview, usually they no, lalo na most of the time din naman, pwede din namang mali yung interpretation ninyo. Tsaka, for sure, may iba naman na alam na nila na ganyan, no? Pero hindi nga. Yung problema nga ay hindi tawag dito, hindi malagpasan or hindi ma-overcome kahit alam na. Okay, so premature interpretations may do more harm than good. And then the patient or the service user may feel na he or she is not heard rather than naririnig siya. It's important lang na we be aware of these. Next, no, of all the techniques, actually, we mentioned the techniques sa words, sa questions, pero of a huge part ng facilitating or even obstructive techniques ay yung non-verbal communication. How you act or how you yung mga non-verbals ninyo, very important. So, mga positive would be nodding of the head, body posture na conveying na nag-use kayo, such as leaning toward, putting down your pen, or now, no, your laptop, or EMR. Kasi ngayon, EMR na tayo. So, putting down yung typing, and then facial expression. Okay, tell me more. Kasi gusto nila. Other non-verbal communication, signs of anxiety, more on sa obstructive, yung repeatedly looking at a watch, listlessness, disinterested behavior, particularly for us, no, pag post-duty, okay, post-duty ka 24 hours sa ER, tapos mag-outpatient ka. Yun ka talaga, yawning, turning away from the patient, even having eyes closed, ganoon. We want to be vigilant, no? Actually, ito din mga non-verbal, imposible din wala tayong non-verbal communication na nakakonvey kasi we are humans, no? Pero we just want you to be aware. Kasi sometimes our patients are very vigilant, no, on how you react. Of course, depressed patients, anxious patients, no, who have a very hopeless outlook of the world or who think others are very criticizing of them. If they see you with these non-verbal communication, they are affected, no? Okay? Oo, maraming, hindi naman nagreklamo, pero maraming mga ganoon. Hindi naman ako nagreklamo. Nag-ano naman siya, nag-madali. Ganoon. And then sa mga anxious, sa mga depressed, sometimes they take it para personally. And so we want to be mindful of this. And of course, yung question formats natin. So, I'm sure you are familiar na with close-ended and open-ended questioning. Actually, both, no, we use during our interview. So, ideally, open-ended muna. Okay, open-ended because open-ended questions is where your service user is active. You can get spontaneous formulations. However, you will find no, na in psychiatry, you will get parang a wide spectrum of patients, of different patients. So sometimes some patients would require more close-ended questions, okay? Especially if you have the very manic, hyperproductive patients or the tangential. Close-ended questions are helpful then as they have good diagnostic coverage, the interviewer can select the topic, and then time efficient. So, it's a mix usually. Pero ideally, simula ka muna sa open-ended. Tapos kung makuha mo na kung ano mga kulang, close-ended muna. Okay? Okay? Sige. Sige, before we proceed with the MSE, any questions? Wala. O sige, marami na nag-shake ng head. Sige, remember ninyo ha. Next part, history taking and mental status exam. Ay, wait. Nag-orientation na ba kayong lahat? Half pa lang. O sige, basta all of you kasi have requirements, no? So, 5 MSE, mental status exam, and then 1 history ng isang pasyente. Okay, so sa history, ito yung ipe-present ninyo. So, first part of the history taking, general data, the usual, no? Name, age, status, hanggang dito sa last, occupation. Helpful ito din na starting kasi these are neutral questions and usually parang set the ground for the interview. Okay, so important to ask these. Why? Because age and sex pa lang, you have an idea na, no, of what the patient might present with. Because depende sa age, no, may iba-iba tayong prevalent mental health disorders. Of course, sa pedia, neurodevelopmental, autism, ADHD, intellectual disability. Sino yung mag-rotate sa child sa inyo? Ano ba mag-rotate sa child? Child outpatient. Or hindi pa alam ng iba. O sige, so sa child specific kasi ng mga prevalent disorders. Sa adults, meron din. Sa juria population, meron din. So, some of you will rotate sa adult, sa child, yun sa mga senior citizen. Okay, so age and sex pa lang, may idea ka na, no? So sa bata, neurodevelopmental, sa matanda, yung delirium, depression, dementia. Tapos sa gitna, no, mga depressive mood disorders, ang ating mga thought disorders, anxiety disorders, etc. Even place of origin, religion, education, na nakakatulong na sa start. Next, we get this presenting complaints, ideally in the patient's own words, verbatim. So, magandang ilagay na yun. Then, HPI, diretso na tayo, chronological description of symptoms of the patient. So, magaling na kayo dito kasi intense, no? Dapat magaling sa history, ha? Pero what I want to see in your history, in particular for psychiatric patients, dito nakalagay onset, what, severity, duration, and associated factors. So, ito lang naman yung bulk. And dapat sa history, in your history, we have na the symptoms, duration, and factors na if you read your history, you have parang na-fulfill mo na ang criteria, no? You have fulfilled DSM criteria, etc. Okay? So, yun yung gusto nating makita sa history. In addition to this, for your, for your requirement, no? Dito in particular sa site, gusto kong makita na prior sa onset, i-add ninyo muna yung premorbid functioning of the patient. Okay? Dapat yun yung first parang paragraph muna. If you see yung SGBs ninyo na cases, i-follow mo yun. Yun yung parang history. Okay? So, first paragraph muna, premorbid picture of the patient, how she is, kamusta ang kanyang functioning, and then next, not in the slide, no, yung premorbid, pero yun muna. Premorbid, then stressor. Okay, important na you elicit the stressor. Kasi usually naman for our psych patients, may stressor yan. And then, kadalasan yung stressor lang naman, nagre-revolve, no? Yung 3 Ps natin, pag-ibig, pamilya, pera. No, kadalasan ganyan yung stressor. And then, after the stressor, what are the symptoms? Anong mga naramdaman niya? Anong naranasan niya after that stressor? And then, symptoms na as I mentioned earlier, napasok sa criteria. Sometimes for our patients, it's very colorful yung history. Kumbaga, madarama ang buhay, no? Pero for your history, never the symptoms, sometimes din ang daming nasi-share sa kwento. Pero yung mga symptoms, wala. Kailangan nandoon, yung symptoms. Tapos dapat may ma-fulfill ka na criteria. And then, how the symptoms affected yung kanyang functioning. Okay, paano na-affect yung functioning, yung relationships, work. Tapos duration. Ito sometimes nakakalimutan gaano katagal naranasan. Kasi part yun ng DSM criteria, okay? Usually yung third criteria, duration of the illness. Tapos, ayun, yung associated factors, parang spread out natin. Basta yun remember, premorbid, stressor, symptoms, duration, ano naka-affect. Yun yung gusto kong, what we want to see in your histories kasi yun yung history na makaka-fulfill ka ng criteria. Ayun, focus on patient and symptoms. So, usual story, pwedeng, for example, general data natin. Example ba? O sige, depression. You have a 26-year-old male, no? Tapos, described siya as hardworking, funny, intelligent, tapos, medyo functioning. Tapos, stressor, after feeling, sige, surgery exam, ganyan. After feeling a surgery exam, then he was not able to continue schooling anymore, hindi siya nakapass sa next level, nag-develop siya ng depth symptoms, tapos describe natin yung depth symptoms. Afterwards, he was noted with depressed mood most of the day. He was seen crying almost daily. He did not want to eat anymore, had to be forced by his mother to eat. He was not able to sleep at night. He sleeps at 2 in the morning and awakes at 4 in the morning. He had low energy and he stopped going out with friends, something that he used to really want to do. He began to experience suicidal thoughts and had parang repeated thinking na of wanting to die. No active plans, pero with thoughts na it's better not to wake up anymore, etc. So parang may passive suicidality. And then, yun yung symptoms niya. These symptoms persisted over the next 3 months. O ayan, fulfilled mo na duration. Tapos, reached a point na he had to be helped. He did not go back to school anymore. He had to be helped in taking a bath, mga ganoon. O sige, decrease in functionality. Tapos, ayan, persistent symptoms prompted consult. So, parang ganoon. Okay? And then kung skits, usually naman skits, ganyan din, premorbid, working as construction worker, cheerful, friendly, tapos, example, after the death of father, yun yung stressor, tapos noted with irritable mood, poor sleep, began talking to self, claimed he could hear voices of people trying to kill him, ganoon. Ever since then, he stayed at home most of the time did not apply for any work anymore. Last symptoms persisted over the next 2 years, no consultant. However, ago, claimed na a neighbor wanted to kill him. He pointed a knife at a person, hence consult, ganoon. Basta yung story, symptoms. Dapat nandoon yung lahat ng symptoms. Okay? Next, then yung mga usual na past medical history. Important pa rin, no? Mga comorbids and then any medications. Review of medications that can cause psychosis, etc. Family history. Important to add, no? Mental health na history, if there is a history of suicide in the family, history of similar symptoms, any medications taken by relatives. Kasi medications that have worked for a close relative might work for the patient. Substance use, etc. Particular siguro for psych, no, we have the developmental slash social history or what we term as the anamnesis. No, anamnesis, kumbaga to remember, yun yung parang story ng patient's life. Okay, we use usually the anamnesis kasi to parang strengthen our formulation, more on the psychosocial formulation, no? So we ask from prenatal to childhood to adulthood. So here are suggested questions. So usually kasi, kamusta yung nanay nung pinagbubuntis siya, maternal pregnancy history, ano tawag dito, he is the oldest of a brood of ganyan, etc. Tapos sa childhood, kamusta yung childhood niya. Siguro add here if may history of abuse, any sexual abuse, physical abuse, and then adulthood, how is his employment, mga relationships, relationship history, and if any, kung may mga conduct na history dati. Next, very important, drugs or substance use. Here naman, di ba we usually ask in general, cigarette, smoking, alcohol, no? Pero for particular for psych, never forget to elicit yung use of psychoactive substances. Dito in particular, well, most used kasi sa Philippines, no, marijuana. So marijuana, then shabu, tapos alcohol. Okay, always ask. Oo, in addition to that, solvent, rugby, mga cocaine, mga ganun. So ask. And then, kung meron, ask the onset, pattern of use, anong nararamdaman niya kapag gumagamit siya, any effects, are there symptoms of withdrawal, tolerance, are there mga psychosis, or ayun, basta in general, anong effect ng drug sa kanya, signs of patterns of abuse or dependence, and if may past treatment. Okay, so actually yun lang. Yun lang more on sa history. Yung usual na history ninyo, no? For other conditions. Pero siguro yung unique lang ay yung anamnesis. Okay, any questions? Wala. O sige, magandang may anamnesis sa history ninyo, ha? Have your residents in your rotations check yung history na gawa ninyo. Okay, mas maganda if you start na may makuha kayong history para we can correct na palang i-edit. Okay, or kung difficulty areas. Okay, last na to, yung MSE. Everyone has had a lecture na before ng MSE sa site ninyo, mental status exam. Okay, raise hand yung mga nag-lecture na dati on the MSE. Wala pa? Ayan sila. Ayan, okay. O sige. So this will be a review na lang. So ito, the mental status examination, how we write actually has to be by parameter. Okay? And then by order, no? So these are the parameters of mental status examination. GABA, or what we term general appearance, behavior, and attitude. Next, we have mood and affect, then speech, thinking, perception, cognition, insight, and judgment. So there are parts of the MFSE that we can observe. No? So let's discuss first the parameters that we get from observation alone. Okay, so appearance, behavior, and attitude, we get this from observing the patient from the moment he or she enters the clinic or the moment we see them. So this is a general description of how the patient looks and acts. How is his build, his physical features, style of dress, grooming and hygiene, any particular motor activity, and how is his or her approach to the interviewer or the style of interaction. For example, for example, take this Aquino, no, in interview. Imagine si Aquino, yung kumbaga patient, okay, general descriptions, or course, no, well-dressed, well-kept, color clothes, no, color movements, friendly towards their viewer, ganyan. Kasi sometimes, GABA pa lang, you have a diagnosis na, no, GABA of the schizophrenia patients, different from the manic patient, or also the depressed patient. So, GABA pa lang, very important na. And ito yung magandang, very maganda yung description ninyo. As I said before, ideally, as you read the SDCD, you get a picture of the patient. So, GABA pa lang, no, na-picture out yung pasyente. Okay, next, affect. Affect. So, well, you next lectures, di ba, mood is the internal state. It's the internal emotional, sustained emotional state, while affect is the expression of that mood. So, you ask the mood of the patient, okay? And then affect is what you observe. So, you observe the expression of the mood. So, actually, we have 5 actually characteristics of affect, no? Range, appropriateness, congruency, ganyan. Pero usually enough naman na example, mood was depressed with appropriate affect. So, kung inappropriate kasi usually sabihin niyang depressed siya pero bigla siyang tumatawa mag-isa, ganoon. So, you will get actually service users like that. Next, we describe yung speech in terms of fluency, amount, rate, tone, and volume. We will get patients na hypoproductive speech from the schizophrenia na negative symptoms, hypoproductive, to the bipolar na very hyperproductive, difficult to interrupt. No? So, pwedeng loud voice, pwedeng whispered. So, describe the speech of the patient as much as you can. Next, the thinking, no, parameter we observe as well. The thought process describes how the thoughts are formulated, organized, and expressed. Okay, so visual na usapan, yun yung normal, no? Linear, organized, and goal-directed. Slightly review yung disorders of thought process natin. Are you no? The 4 disorders of thought process. Most common, we have circumstantiality, tangentiality, looseness of associations, and flight of ideas. Okay, the first 4. Circumstantial is, also review nyo ha, no? Circumstantial is when the patient answers the question, but before reaching the answer, umiikot-ikot pa siya. Marami munang pagdadaanan. Pero in the end, he or she will answer naman the question. Tangential, on the other hand, initially, he or she will answer. However, upon explaining, nag-go off on tangents na. Okay, so tangential, sumagot muna, tapos nag-derail na. Then, flight of ideas. Usually, iba-iba yung topics, no? However, you can sense na may connection in between the topics. Kumbaga, very flighty, pero makikita ninyo, connected pa rin kahit papaano. On the other hand, looseness of associations. The service user answers in different topics, pero wala na talagang connection in between. So, kumbaga, very irrelevant na. So, actually, kasi this is best understood, no, sa mga patients. So, in the wards, as much as possible, interview as many patients as you can. And in the OPS, no, listen to your patients. Kasi, we can talk about this, ganito. Pero mas magiget siya kapag nakakita kayo ng ganoong pasyente. Okay? Pero review nyo, no? So, flight of ideas, common in bipolar. Looseness of associations, common sa mga thought disorders. Perseveration, thought blocking, neologisms. Perseveration, yun yung bumabalik-balik sa isang topic lang, no? Thought blocking, in the process of expressing or in the process of thinking, magsa-stop siya. And then neologisms, yung they make new words. Then next na yung mga parameters that we explore. So those are the parameters we observe. Next are the parameters we need to explore. The first, yung mood, which is the internal and sustained emotional state of the patient. So we ask this. No, anong damdamin mo? Anong nararamdaman mo? Ganoon. And next, thought content. Okay? Di ba thought process, we observe thought content, no, we ask or we elicit during the course of our interview. Important na thought content na I want to see in your mental status examination. Simple lang naman, no? Delusions and suicidality and homicidality. Okay, kahit yung tatlo lang na yon, no, sa MSE ninyo. Pwedeng no delusions elicited kung walang delusions, pero if you are able to elicit, write them down. And then I want better sana if, example, hindi lang paranoid delusions, ilagay ninyo ano yung paranoid delusions na na-elicit. Okay, so you'll have a lecture na naman sa skits kasi describing all of this. Pero delusions, basically fixed false belief na does not bend in evidence to the contrary and is outside of the cultural belief ng pasyente. Okay, so common, pinaka-common na delusion, paranoia persecutory, may papatay sa akin, pinag-uusapan na ako, may naglalaso ng pagkain ko, may naglagay ng CCTV, camera, pinapanood lahat ng naiisip ko, ganoon. Most common, okay? But delusions may be grandiose, anak ng Diyos, tatay ko si Marcos, in love sa akin si ganito, erotomanic, no? So, there may be different kinds of delusions. Pwede ding nihilistic, sa tingin ko magugunaw ang mundo, or inaapakan ng aking mga organs. My organs are rotting away. Ganun. Kahapon, meron ako sa OPS na delusion ay sinasaktan siya ni Chris Aquino. For some reason, si Chris Aquino. Meron din ako dati na anak daw siya ni Hitler, so pag uwi niya, pupunta siya sa Germany. Okay, so different yung mga delusions. So ilagay niyo yan sa MSE. Tapos mas magandang verbatim kung anong na-elicit ninyo sa pasyente. Okay, tapos next, of course, very important, suicidality and homicidality. Okay, so dito, under thought content, there are no suicidal ideations, no homicidal ideations kung wala. Kung meron, ilagay ninyo rin. Okay, mortal sin not to ask for suicidality. So in your MSE, you ask always for your psych patients. Ask if may suicidal thoughts, thoughts of harming self, or thoughts of harming others. Dami din ngayong violence mo na cases. May nagbarilan na naman ulit. So, very important na makatch. Then, less common, pero maybe present din would be obsessions, compulsions, preoccupations. Review na lang, ha? May lecture din naman per sa mga next lectures. Next, under perception, mga perceptual disturbances, no? So, any na disturbance in any form of perceptual sensations. Dito na papasok yung hallucinations and delusions. Hallucinations, iba yung perception nila. Walang bagay doon pero may napiperceive sila. Illusions ay misperception of existing stimuli. Okay, so hallucinations, ito yung nakikita or naririnig na hindi naririnig ng iba. Illusions ay iba ang naririnig mo or nakikita or naririnig ng iba. So this may happen in all of the senses, pero most common or auditory hallucinations. Next, visual, and then mas rare na yung mga tactile, olfactory, gustatory. Kung mga rarer hallucinations, think of organic, no? Organic process. Baka may epilepsy yan, baka may brain tumor yan. For sa skits, pinaka-common ay bulong, auditory hallucination. Next, cognition. So, review nyo how to ask each, ha? I want to see in your MSEs din. Minsan yung sa clerks, awake and oriented to 3 spheres. Well, pwede, pero ideally ask everything. Okay? Calculation, fund of knowledge, yung tatlong past presidents. Tapos abstract reasoning, no? Ano pagkakapareho ng prutas at ng mansanas at, ang tawag doon? Mansanas at, basta, yung abstract reasoning, ano pagkakaintindi sa proverb, para sa iyo ng ibig sabihin ng may syaga at may nilaga. I want your sensorium and cognition to be complete. Okay? Ano pa ba? How to ask yung concentration. Yung serial sevens. Na-lecture niyo na to before, no? So, serial sevens, memory, tatlong kinds of memory, recent, remote, and immediate. So, ito yung anong kinain mo kanina for recent, for remote, saan ka nag-school, nag-elementary, ganyan. Okay? Tapos, recent, yung tatlong bagay. Mangga, mesa, pera, tapos paalala sa kanila. Okay? Actually, yun na lang yun. MSE is yung full sensorium and cognition. Actually, sa other na everyday MSE ng pasyente. Okay, pero I want din sana na, 'di ba you are required to submit 5 MSEs. So ideally, mas magandang iba-ibang parang different MSEs ng mga different patients na you will see. No, kasi you will see na the MSE of the bipolar is very different from the MSE of the depressed or the very paranoid